Just so you know, too, real quick. Mr. Nick is back. Mr. Nick is a refreshment snacks kind of guy. So your snack table has been refurbished.
Don't let it too bad.
Yeah.
So I'm Randy. I'm an alcoholic. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
It's great to be back in the room at Joshua Tree. Last night we went deep into alcoholism, ego, and self, and step one. And today is today. It's a new day. Today I got to have the recovery for today. And in how it works, you know, and we read it all the time, so much that I'm completely like immune to how it works. I sat in meetings and I used to think how it works, that's for the new guy. I've heard it a few million times. You know, I don't need to listen. And so what I would do is I would sit in the meeting and I would self-talk while they read how it works. And somebody pointed out to me that how it works is it's how I get to gauge where I'm at in my recovery. If I can sit in the meeting and I can hear every word of how it works, I know that I'm connected to my power. Because I can't listen to how it works. My mind tells me I already know that if I'm with my mind. So I get to ask the power, which we're going to talk a lot about in step 2 now, to be with me, to help me hear what's being read, so that I can hear every word of how it works. And there's so much in it. And a couple of Sundays ago, they were reading, you know, the many of us exclaimed. At that point, they've already read the 12 steps, right? We're through all the good stuff. This is like some stuff for the newcomer. Many of us exclaimed, the newcomers, right? What an order, I can't go through with it. And you know all the rest of that. But then at the end it says we, but I'm going to say I claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. And I used to hang on the rather than spiritual perfection part of that statement. And you hear it all the time. You don't have to be spiritually perfect. But that's not exactly what that sentence is saying. That's what my mind wants it to say, because I want to do my spiritual perfection is next to nil. Because I'm going to do as little as possible as an alcoholic with alcoholism on my spiritual perfection. But what it really says is that I claim spiritual progress. I missed that part completely. Today, right now, do I claim spiritual progress? Am I doing something to make progress in my spiritual connection? And do I claim that for myself? Or is it just another day of me, you know, praying in the morning a little bit, getting out in the traffic and swearing a little bit, and finding fault and going back to my old way of life? You know, I get up and I read and I pray, but do I claim spiritual progress right now? Power, could you be with me right now? Could you help me be here in this room? Right now, could you help me grow spiritually today? What could I do more today so that I could claim some progress from yesterday? Because whatever I did yesterday, what we did yesterday, was for yesterday. Even up here in this retreat, it's an opportunity for me to go deeper into my connection with this power, especially here, because there's no distractions. There's very little distractions. Everything is taken care of. We don't even have to clean the tables. At San Lorenzo, we used to get to clean the tables. And I say get to because it was like you were part of something. You did something. You got to practice a spiritual principle of being a giver by clearing the table or cleaning it or setting it up or doing the dishes. I missed that part of the retreat. It's too, that's crazy thinking, right? Who wants to do the dishes? That's insane. But it was like one of the best parts of San Lorenzo was getting in the kitchen with the other guys and doing the dishes and being part of something and growing spiritually, doing something that I would never do at home. Then it's the ABCs, right? That I'm alcoholic and I cannot manage my own life. And we did that yesterday. I can't manage my own life. I'm a complete defeat at managing my inner life. I'm a complete defeat at being a true friend to another alcoholic. I'm a complete defeat at being a good husband. I'm a complete defeat at driving my car and being at peace. I can get from A to B usually without causing too much actual real damage. But what happens in my mind from A to B is so painful that when I get to the place where I'm going, I'm mad and I'm angry and I'm off, and I can't have a relationship with the person I'm there with because I'm gone already. So I'm an alcoholic and my life is unmanageable. I've got to acknowledge that right now for today. The program starts in 1. If I don't start in 1, I can't do 2. 2 needs 1. I have to have a spirit of complete defeat for my life. That's what I have to have. You might not have to do that. But I got to know there's something wrong with me. I have an unsatisfiable mind. I'm going to find fault and I'm going to be opinionated if I go to my mind, and I'm a complete defeat. And then it says that probably no human power could relieve my alcoholism. You're a human power, and I'm a human power, and neither one of us can get the job done for me. No matter how much you work your program and you know the answers, and I can ask you the questions, you cannot relieve my alcoholism. You can give me some information that I might be able to take into my life and practice as a way of life to treat my alcoholism. But you can't relieve it, and I can't relieve it. I can't go to my mind to fix my mind. But I try all the time. That's all that self-talk. It's me trying to fix my mind. But the broken mind can't fix the broken mind. And then it says that God could and would if He were sought. And it says sought. I love that word sought. God could and would if He were sought, and the only moment He could be sought is right now. So now I get to start my program of recovery. Yes, I've acknowledged that there's something wrong with me. So now what? Now the good news is God can and will relieve my alcoholism if I will sought Him right now as a way of life. Power, could you be with me? Could you help me right now? Show yourself to me. What am I supposed to get out of this retreat? How do I sit in this seat and listen? How do I stay in the room? Show me, teach me, guide me. What do I think of the speaker, God? What do you want me to think of the speaker? What do you want me to think of the food? How do I be a friend with the other guys that are here? How do I fit in? Show me how to do that. Because I'm a complete defeat. I think I know how to make friends and go up to the table and push my way in and sit there and try and think of something witty to say, and then think I'm funny, and then walk away just as lonely as I walked up to that table. Everybody had a good laugh, and I'm dying inside. Power, could you help me fit in? Could you help me? And, there's so much in the books. I was reading Step 6 this morning because I'm thinking, I haven't read Step 6 for a little while. There's so much in the books. There's so much information in this program that needs to be transmitted, but it's not possible in 20 minutes to go so deep. But we're going to scratch the surface. But what I can do is I can start doing something in my life right now. And if I'm sodding right now, if I start sodding, God can and will restore me to sanity so that I can have an experience right now. And if I have one moment of sanity, that's worth all the reading you could do for the next month, right? All that information trying to get it in. And all I have to do is God could and would if He were sought. All I have to do is start doing that. In the big book for Step 2, most of it is about my prejudice, and we agnostics. I never knew how prejudiced I was against everything that I thought wasn't right. Because my mind told me things about religion and about religious people and about spirituality. My mind told me some stuff. And somewhere along the line, I started believing what my mind told me. And for me, it's real because it's my mind. It's coming from in my head. And so I believe it. And that second step in We Agnostics, it just opened me up to the amount of prejudice. I asked myself, am I not just as biased and unreasonable about the realm of the spirit as the ancients were about the realm of the material. So I have to know that what's wrong with me is my mind. I go to my mind, and my mind tells me things, and I believe it because it talks to me with authority, and I believe my mind. And so I've got to see that I have these prejudices against religion and against God, and I have all these old ideas. And the book says that I have to let go of my old ideas absolutely, or the result is nil. Right now, power. Step 2 is about having an open mind. And I thought open-minded meant that it was, to me open-minded was that I could agree that it's okay for gay men to get married. I thought that was what an open mind was about, I thought I was progressive about sexual things, and so that I had an open mind. But this is an open mind that has nothing to do with what my old ideas are. Those are my old ideas. An open mind is a mind free of self. No self. It's completely open to what's happening right now, to being open to this being an okay moment, to this being exactly the way it's supposed to be. And it says that this is the how and why of it. First of all, I have to quit playing God. When I have a closed mind, I'm the God. I'm the one who decides just how everything is supposed to be and how you're supposed to act. And I'm the judge. And I'm the jury. And I know everything. And I promise you, with alcohol, if you're like me, you know everything. You know everything. I have to quit playing God, and it says, you know why? It says it didn't work. It's right there. I have to quit playing God. It didn't work. Next, I decided that hereafter in this drama of life, God is going to be my director. So I told you, I wanted to be an actor. And when I had to look at a life of complete defeat, what does that look like? For me, complete defeat is that I show up on the set, and everybody has had their script for months, and they know the part. And I just got there that day. And, of course, I'm an alcoholic with alcoholism, so I didn't even read the script. I'm just going to know how to do it better than everyone else because my mind told me that. But so I show up on set, and I don't know one word. I don't know who my character is. I don't know what part I play in this movie. I don't know anything. I show up, and I have to say to the director, he just said he likes me. How am I supposed to interpret that? Is that an attack, or is he being nice to me? And then when we finish that conversation, I have to turn to the director and I have to say, so do I get in my car or do I go in my house? What did I do next? What's my motivation? What am I doing here? And I share my life with that director, my stage life with the director, and I get directed every step of every next thing that happens in that film. I have to ask the director what to do because I haven't read the script. I didn't get the script. And for me, if God's going to be my director, I don't have the script. How could I know the part in advance? God is my director right now. What do I do? What do I say? Who do you want me to be? How do I respond to that? Am I supposed to be agitated or am I supposed to be relaxed in this situation, Power? I don't know. Should I be upset? Should I wring my wife's neck for turning the airplane mode off? Or should I back down and try and find a way to apologize sincerely? What do you want me to do, Power? What would be the right thing to do? And when I practice that, the right answers start to come. He is the Father and I am His child. That's a relationship. In my relationship, I have a daughter. And I know that I want the best for her. And I provide for her. The Power provides for her through me. But as her father, I get to put the food on the table. I get to make sure she has clothes. I get to make sure she goes to the best school I can get her into. I care and I nurture her and I want her to have the best life she can have. And God is so much gooder than I am that I can only imagine how much the Father wants me to have. He's given me the whole universe. He's given me this. I get to go on this retreat. How unbelievable is this? That I get to have this life. And He's given me everything that I need, always. But I forget about that relationship. He's the Father and I'm the child. And I'm going to be taken care of. And then it says that, I missed one. He says that He is the principal and I am His agent. The principal, the agent represents the principal. How am I doing today, God, in representing You on this planet? Can somebody look at me and say, wow, there's a God? Or are they going, holy, whoa. How am I representing You to God today by my actions, by my deeds, by the man that I am? Am I doing a good job? Could You help me so that I could be a better representative of what's possible? And we're going to get to that in the third step prayer. But I get to do this. I get to, I don't have to. And it says, most good ideas are simple, and this concept is the keystone of the new and triumphant arc through which I'm going to pass to freedom. This is the keystone. This is the archways built. I get to go through it now as the son and as the agent and as the actor in God's show, in this higher power show. You know, step 2 is about a power. I say the word God and you say the word God and we all say the word God. And most of the time it freaks me out because really still I have prejudices about God. When I hear the word God, I see an old man sitting in a chair in a white robe with thunderbolts and he's throwing them at me and I'm always doing something that's deserving of a thunderbolt. So my old idea of God, I don't want that God to see me or be with me or have anything to do with me because it's a punishing God and I've done a lot of things and I deserve to be punished. And I continue to do things. But a power, just a power. It's just the power. It's just a power. And I can start to build a relationship with the power. And I can start to have experiences. And step 2 is about an experience. In the book it says that we reflected on step 1 and 2 were reflection. And step 3 is where the action really starts. But for me, the action starts right now. I've got to start connecting to this power. I wanted to read something out of step 2 because I found it so funny for my life. It talks about now we come to another, so there's 3 kinds of problems, right? There's a guy who believed in God once, and then some bad things happened to them and they lost their faith. There's the guy who believes there is a God, but it has nothing to do with him personally. And then there's the guy who has no faith in God. And I'm all of those guys. I'm all of those guys. In AA, I've had experiences that have blown me away, where I knew there was a power that was greater than me. I knew there was. I could feel it. And then that feeling went away. And then I thought, how could this life be so hard? There can't be a power. Or something bad happened, and it destroyed my faith in that power. And I've also been the guy who thinks, yes, obviously there's a power. There's no way all of these plants could figure out how to grow on their own and be all so much diversity and this beautiful planet and all the stars and everything and nothing's... And it works so perfectly wherever man is, and it works perfectly. There's got to be a power. But I don't believe that power really cares about how I drive my car right now, or what job I have, or what woman I date. And I've been the guy who's gone, really? Really? Is there really a power? Really? Because I'm in so much pain right now, and I'm praying my butt off, and nothing's helping me. Is there really a power? I don't know. Now we come to another kind of problem, the intellectually self-sufficient man or woman. To these, many AAs can say, yes, I was like you, far too smart for my own good. I love to have people call me precocious. I used my education to blow myself up into a prideful balloon. Though I was careful to hide this from others, Secretly, I felt I could float above the rest of the folks on my brain power alone. Secretly, I think that I am just a little bit smarter than everybody else in this room. Might not be book smarter than you, and I might not be street smarter than you, but my whole package, my whole package is just a little bit smarter than your whole package. And that's who I am. And I didn't even know that. And that blew my mind. Yes, I'll listen politely and I'll nod my head and smile and listen to what you have to say. But inside, I'm going to make all the decisions because you might be smart, but I'm just a little bit smarter. That's a problem wherever I go. I get to come to believe that there's a power greater than myself that could restore me to sanity. It happens right now in this moment. It doesn't happen in any other moment. It doesn't matter how much I've believed in the past. I need to be coming to believe right now as a way of life, in a spirit of complete defeat. You know, what I do is I think I know some stuff because I've been around a while, and I think I can just go straight to the power and ask for help when I get disturbed. But usually the help that I'm asking for is for God to do something that I want done. It's my will, not yours, be done. And I'm praying for the power because I lack the power to get the thing done that needs to be done. I know I lack the power, and I'm willing to ask for help, so long as the help is the kind of help I want to do the kind of things I need to get done. And I do a lot of that prayer. And I do it unconsciously. I don't even know I'm doing it. And I got to know that I have to have step 1 and add step 2 to it. I have to have a spirit of complete defeat where I don't know. Start from I don't know. I don't know. You know, I used to drive around and I used to pray for God to help me to have patience for traffic. And I was always upset in traffic, and I was always praying for patience and tolerance and love in traffic. And it came to me as I was praying one day. It sounded a lot like this: traffic is not your problem. And I went, what? And it said, traffic is not your problem. Leaving on time is your problem. And I found that shocking. I thought I could leave whenever I want, and if I got upset in traffic, I could pray to have the traffic removed. And then I'd be okay. There's something wrong with me, and I don't even know what it is, but I think I know what it is. And so I pray to have the things that I think I know what's wrong with me fixed. Restored to sanity. I was restored to sanity in that moment. My problem is that I'm so selfish and self-centered that when I have a 12 o'clock meeting, I leave at 11:59, no matter how far away it is. I leave at 12 o'clock because the meeting starts at 12, and if I get there early, the ego is going to be stopped. I'm going to be standing still doing absolutely nothing but waiting for you. And my selfish, self-centered mind can't handle that. So I leave late. Then I know you'll be there when I get there, and I can continue on with my power drive and get to the next thing and make some stuff happen and make some money. So, without complete defeat, all that prayer is selfish, self-centered. Do what I want, God. Help me to feel okay as I do what I want. So, that's pretty much what I got on step 2. And I know there's so much more stuff in these books to talk about on step 2. But as a way of life right now, could you be with me? Right now.
They're getting the drill. Here they come. I
What's practicing the presence of God? Okay, that's a great one. Practicing the presence of God right now in this moment is relating my life to God. So rather than talking to myself about what's going on in this room, I share it with the power. God, I see a bunch of men in chairs. Could you help me to be in this room with these men? I want to be here. It's my desire to be here. I think that's what you want me to do. So could you help me to be here with these men? Could you help me to hear what's being said? My mind's drifting, God. I've left the room. How many times have you left the room while I'm talking and thought about how you're going to practice something that I'm talking about when you get somewhere else? How many times have you done that? I did that all the time. I hear some good stuff and I think, oh yeah, I'm going to do that when I get there, and I'm going to do that with her, and I'm going to do that with him. And meanwhile, I'm in fantasy land, even though it's good fantasy land. It's fantasy land, and I've left the building, and I'm out there now, and anything can happen. That fantasy can shift quickly from, oh yeah, I'm going to talk to the power when I'm with my wife, and then I'll be able to pay more attention to her, to, she's a bitch. At the end of that good thought, just like that. The minute I leave the now, anything's possible, and I'm back in self. So practicing the presence is practicing what's going on in my life and sharing it with that power right now. Right now. So, I hope that answers it. Step 2 assumes that I know I'm insane. Where do I find out I'm insane? Step 1 or step 2? I have, in how it works, in that first paragraph, it talks about rigorous self-honesty. And I need human help, and I need a higher power help to be able to see who I really am. And with a sponsor, and with the application of these 12 steps, I get to see who I am. And hopefully your sponsor holds up the mirror for you so you can see who you are over and over and over again until you can really see who you are. And then I start to see that my thought life is unsound. And where I really see my unsound thought life is in step 4. So this is a way of life. And we're building 1. We're in 2 now. I have an unsound mind. When it comes to alcohol, I know I have an unsound mind. And I prayed my butt off to be restored to sanity about alcohol, and it happened. And then I get some time in this program, and it takes some time of not drinking for me to see how unsound my mind is. Now, am I insane? I don't know. Does a sane person go down to tie his shoes, and while he's down there find fault with his shoes and sit up and think I got to kill myself? Does a sane person do that? I look at my shoes and I'm tying my shoes and I'm thinking my shoes are old. I need new shoes. I need some more money so I can get some more shoes. I never can make any more money. My wife spends too much money. If I got rid of my wife, then I'd have more money. But if I get rid of her, she's going to take half of my money. And the thing starts going from tying my shoes. And by the time I sit up, I hate my life. I hate my wife. I hate my house. I hate my everybody and everything. Now, am I insane? I don't know. I got my shoe tied. I accomplished the task. But in the same time, I'm completely insane. So that's where I find it out. I find it out in here, coming here, with sobriety, with time. Right now, time. I have time, and I still think that way. I still get captured by my mind. And it tells me something's wrong, and I believe it. And then it tells me everything's wrong, and I believe it. And then I'm in a world of pain. Is that insanity? I don't know. It might be grave emotional and mental disorders. What role did or does going to meetings, any meetings, play in my coming to believe? You know, meetings are so important because I go there and I hear the miracle of sobriety. The fact that I didn't drink alcohol today is unbelievable. It's a miracle. The fact that I showed up here is a miracle. And the fact that you're here is a miracle. And I take that for granted in my life, day after day. But when I go to a meeting, a good meeting or a bad meeting, it doesn't matter because it's a place where I sit down. And it's like a meditation. I sit down and if I have any awareness at all, I can be aware. Am I judging the speaker? Am I listening to what they're saying? Do I have an opinion about everything they're saying? Am I in the room? Do I relate? Am I an alcoholic with alcoholism? Oh yeah, that's what's wrong with me. And I'm reminded that I'm an alcoholic with alcoholism. You know, it's amazing that I can put sentences together. Because I'm drunk and stoned out of my mind on my own power. And so meetings are very important. Now, do meetings treat my alcoholism? No, they don't. They make me feel better. Sometimes. I've walked out of meetings wanting to kill people. So a meeting is just a place where I sit and there's nowhere to go and there's nothing to do for an hour or an hour and a half. And I get to check in and say, oh, am I listening? Am I here? So meetings are great, but meetings don't treat my disease. And reading is great, but readings don't treat my disease. I have to be coming to believe right now, this moment, by sharing my life with that power, to be in a program of recovery right now. And I'm talking about right now. In this room, you're not treating your disease if you're not sharing your life with your power. And I'm not treating mine if I'm not. I might be listening, I might be smiling and nodding, but the fact that I'm here doesn't mean I'm treating my disease. Came to believe seems to refer to an awakening. Does it? If so, can you touch on shifting from being unconscious to becoming aware or waking up? Yeah. Coming to believe is part of the awakening. It's the beginning. It's the first step in having something different in my life. Up until I start to share my life with the power, all I have is me. All I have is my self-talking, fault-finding, opinionated mind. And then I'm in the kitchen and I'm having an argument with my wife. And I've told this story a million times, but I'm in the kitchen and we're having the argument and it's escalating and I'm right this time. For God's sakes, once, this time I'm right. This time for sure I'm right. And she's so wrong and she's not seeing it and I'm going to show her. And I'm rubbing her face and how right I am. And she's right too as far as she's concerned. And we get to that jumping off place, right? Where the next thing that comes out of my mouth is going to damage this relationship forever. We might stay together, but it's going to damage us. It's going to be bad. And something happened, and I said, you know what, God, I need help. I'm going to crush my wife. And something said, shut up. Just shut up. Just stop talking. And I stopped talking. And I stopped talking in awe of the power. And she stopped talking. And the argument was over. It was done. It was like a miracle that I didn't say the thing that I was going to say that would have maybe ruined this relationship forever. And I got some intuitive guidance and I acted on it. And the argument just disappeared. It's really hard to have an argument if the other person isn't willing to argue. And it disappeared. And I had a little spiritual awakening that there could be a power and that power helped me. And I was restored to sanity for a minute. I remember, I was told that she could be right and I could be right. And that could be okay. And I don't have to prove I'm right. And so I was able to practice that through the power. And I had this great experience. Well then, now I think I know something. So the next time we got into an argument, and it started to get there, and I became aware I was in an argument with my wife, I said, oh, I know what to do. You just don't say anything. But I stood there and looked at her like she was some kind of idiot. I didn't say anything. But self had an opinion still. There was no complete defeat. There was no what do I do power. I already knew what to do. And it was something that was intuitively guided at another time. But it wasn't applicable to this situation because it was now. And maybe being quiet would have been the right thing, maybe not. But I wasn't asking for the guidance. So that conversation continued to go badly. Because self was in control, even though it was something that I thought was divinely inspired at another time. So yes, every little piece of sanity is a little building that, yes, maybe there really is a power. Maybe there really is, and maybe I could trust and rely on this power. And I'm taking baby steps, and I'm opening up my life.
One more question.
Okay.
Where's the webcam?
Oh.
We're going to answer one more question on step 2 there, and we'll save the other ones for tomorrow. There were a couple of questions here that were repetitive, dealing with insanity, Randy's just been talking about,
So I'm full of.
and also self-honesty, which you've also already talked about.
Okay.
So, but we'll save those till tomorrow.
I equate complete defeat with failure, and I obsess on that. What do I do? Yeah, complete defeat is the best thing that ever happened to me. If it's failure, let me be the biggest failure I've ever been, because everything else in my life was a failure. Me running my life was a failure. I ended up in Alcoholics Anonymous, okay? I didn't get to the top. I didn't know it was the top. I think it's the top today. But I might be insane. The worst thing that ever happened to me has become the best thing that ever happened to me. Because, see, my mind gets it all backwards. I get it all wrong. Complete defeat isn't... It's a state of mind. It's a way of being. Complete defeat just is, I don't know. Oh, I know what it is. It's any life run on self-will can hardly be a success. That's how it was. One of the guys pointed it out to me. One of the guys I sponsor pointed it out, what complete defeat was. Any life run on self-will can hardly be a success, even when my motives are good. That's complete. If it's my will, even if my motives are good, it's going to go badly. Somebody's going to get hurt. So that's complete defeat in positive recovery. Complete defeat is a state of I don't know, and I don't have to know, and then the beautiful answer, the right answer, can come in, and nobody has to get hurt. So, I know complete defeat sounds terrible. It sounds like somebody's got their foot on your neck and they're standing on it and you can't do anything. But it's a state of mind where I don't have the answers for what's needed right now. And I go somewhere else for the answer because I'm a complete defeat. I don't know if that answers that question, but... Oh. Step 3.
Move on to step 3.
Step 3. Step 3. Made a decision. I made a decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of God as I understood Him. So, it says as I understood Him, not as I understand Him. I got to say this first. In the second step, I thought it said, for years, I thought it said, came to believe in a power greater than myself. And all of the prejudices that I had kept me in fear that you were going to tell me what power it was that I had to believe in. And that believing in the power was going to be the thing that saved me. Like I could believe in a name, whether it be Buddha or Allah or Jesus, and that believing in that was going to be the thing that saved me. And that seems so, it just got under my skin and made my skin crawl. And I kept waiting for someone to take me into the back room of AA and tell me which power it was that I'm going to have to believe in. And that never happened. It says, came to believe that a power restores me to that a power greater than myself could restore me to sanity. And I get to create my own relation with that power, even if I call it Jesus, Buddha, or Muhammad, or Allah, whatever I call it, or Moses. It's not the one in the Bible that I have the relationship with. It's the one in my life, in my living, that I build this relationship with. And as I build it into and I come to believe by sharing my life with this power, and I have some experiences, now step 3 is it's not a fantasy land thing. I'm making a decision. Do I want Randy's life, or do I want the life with this power? This beautiful life where the right answer is always there, right when I need it. And it's a decision that I can make, because I've had both experiences. I've had the experience of being with me and ending up in AA, drunk and broke and destroyed. Or some of these experiences where I knew the answer intuitively, and it was the right answer, and everything and everyone benefited from it. And I've been restored to sanity in the moment, and now I could make a decision. Do I want my will, or do I want God's will? Do I want my life, or do I want God's life? And it's as I understood Him from 2, I have an understanding that when I went to that power, I got a life better than anything I could imagine. So it's understood that when I go to that power, I have a life better than anything I can do on my own. Why wouldn't I make that decision? It's not a tough decision at that point. But if I haven't done step 2, it's an impossible decision. What am I deciding? I'm deciding to go with my way of life or jump off a cliff that I know nothing about. And they say, just jump. Just jump. Take the jump. You don't have to know. God will take care of you. God will catch you. Well, how do I know that? I know that because I took a little skip in step 2. And then I ran a little faster and I took a little jump. And then I took a little leap. And each time I practiced the presence of the power, I had an experience and I landed okay. Now when I get to the cliff of step 3, it's like, okay, I got my God parachute on. Let's go. Where's the edge? I want to do it. I can't wait to do it. And I'm not afraid to do it because I know I have some understanding that God's will for me is something beautiful. And better than anything I could plan for myself. In the Sermon on the Mount, I know this isn't AA-approved literature, but it has the best definition of this relationship that I get to have. And okay, it's on page 28. The true significance of the word meek in the Bible is a mental attitude for which there is no other single word, no other word. And it is this mental attitude which is the secret of prosperity or success in prayer. It is a combination of open-mindedness, faith in God, and the realization that the will of God for me is always something joyous and interesting and vital and much better than anything I can think of for myself. This state of mind also includes a perfect willingness to allow this will of God to come about in whatever way divine wisdom considers to be best, rather than in some particular way that I have chosen for myself. An open mind, complete defeat. I don't know what's right for me. I'm going to let it come about in whatever way divine wisdom sees best. Maybe I'm not supposed to be here on Friday night. Maybe I'm supposed to be here on Saturday morning. And I can just be completely relaxed into the knowing that because of circumstances, which I'm not going to fight, that I can relax into the moment and know that I'm in the right place exactly where I am right now. And that if I was supposed to be at the retreat on Friday night, I would have been there. And that this is where I'm supposed to be, and I can enjoy the moment where I am right now because I'm allowing the will of God to unfold in the way God's will is unfolding, not my will. And that God's will for me is better than anything I can plan. And it says somewhere in the AA literature that when I looked back, I found that the things that came to me when I put myself in God's hands were better than anything I could plan. Which is pretty much this statement lifted out of this book. But it's in looking back that I see that, yes, wow, God has put the most amazing sponsors in my life. I've lived in some amazing places. I've had the opportunity to meet amazing people that I couldn't put together. That trip to Italy, I couldn't put that together. My daughter moved there. And then she had a grandson of mine there. And then they invited me out. And they had a place for me to stay. And then they owned a bed and breakfast in town. And we got to stay in their home. Then we got to stay in their bed and breakfast. And then her husband is Italian. He grew up in Italy. And he took us everywhere. And he spoke Italian. So we got everything done right. I didn't have to think of anything. I didn't open up a translation book. I learned Italian because I wanted to, not because I had to. And everything was taken care of. It was mind-blowing. And it cost me a quarter of what it would have cost if I went there on my own. And I couldn't have put it together. And I got to have this amazing experience, which I could have thrown away. I was at the turning point at the Tivoli Fountain, and I could have thrown that whole trip away and trashed it with my mind in 1 second because something didn't go my way. But the whole trip, it's impossible. It's impossible that I went there and had that experience. I couldn't put that together. I couldn't put together the group of guys that rode up in the car with me. And we had the most amazing experience on the way up, just talking and being together. It was fantastic. I couldn't put that together. God can. This program is about having a spiritual awakening. Why would I argue with step 3? I know why. I know why. Because the moment my spiritual or emotional independence is in question, how differently I behave, how persistently I claim the right to decide all by myself just what I shall think and how I shall act. Yes, I'll weigh the pros and cons of every problem. I'll listen politely to those who would advise me, but all the decisions are to be mine alone. Nobody is going to meddle in my personal independence in such matters. Besides, I think there is no one I can surely trust. I am certain that my intelligence, backed by willpower, can rightly control my inner life and guarantee me success in the world I live. But every natural instinct in me cries out against the idea of personal powerlessness. You see, it's all tied together. Steps 1, 2, and 3, they need each other. You can't do 3 if you haven't done 2. How could you? You can't make the decision. How many times have I stood in front of a guy who asks me, what should I do? Step 1, what should I do? And I tell them, and they smile and they nod like they're listening. And inside they're going, man, I'm busy. I can't do that. Why don't you do step 1 for me? I know that's what's going on because that's what I did for years. I trusted and relied on my sponsor. He read the books. He knew the books better than anybody. He was the most intelligent man. Ted Bratter. You could ask him about anything, and he actually really knew the answer. He wasn't making it up. And I trusted and relied on his recovery for years. I thought I knew Ted will know where in the book to tell me what I need to know because I'm dying right now. I'll call Ted. And the first thing Ted would always say when I called him, he'd say, have you talked to God yet? Have you talked to God yet? and I would say, no, Ted. God doesn't talk to me like you do. I'm calling you because you actually talk back. What do I do, Ted? And he'd tell me what to do, and I'd say, that's great. Okay, hang up the phone, go right back to doing what I was doing before. And then I'd get right back. I'd feel good because he would tell me the answers. He'd read stuff out of books, and I'd agree with him. Those are good things. I would agree, and I thought that my agreeing was treating my disease. Oh, yes, I can agree with that. The moment my mental or emotional independence is how differently I behave. Yes, I agree with that. Oh, now I'm in recovery. And then I go right back to trusting and relying on myself. It's hard to do. It's hard to do all the time. But it's not hard to do right this moment. And this is the only moment it needs to be done. And, I was taught to put things in my life to remind me. that I need to be in a relationship with a power. And I wear a bracelet. And this particular bracelet, I work on the computer a lot. And when I do, the bracelet scrapes on the computer and it stabs me in the wrist a little bit. And and I go, oh, God, it stabs me. And then I go, oh, yeah, God. And I had to find the thing that worked for me. And I tried my watch upside down, so I would look at it and I couldn't tell what time it was. And then it was now. And that would remind me that now is now and I'm the wrong power. But I got to have reminders in my life because I don't do this naturally. Naturally, I go to self. Naturally, I go to me for the answers, even with all this knowledge, even with after this retreat, all this time sitting here and paying attention and listening and agreeing with what's being said. The minute you drive out of here, you're going to ask yourself, which way do I turn? Which freeway do I take to go home? And you're going to connect right back with self if you're like me, because that's what I do. I start asking myself which way I should go. I don't ask the power. I know how to get from here to my house. And I know about 10 different routes. And I know how to torture myself as I drive down here to decide, am I going to take the 10 or the 60? Let's see, the 60 is windy. Sometimes if there's an accident on the 60, it's impossible. I should take the 10. I'll take the 10. Yeah, the 10 is good. But sometimes the 10 at Pomona, oh man, it's impossible. That 10 could be terrible. I'm not taking the 10. Screw the 10. I'll take the 60. Wait, I just found fault with the 60. I'll take the 210. It's out of the way to Santa Monica, but it's never crowded. But then I got to go all the way out of and I'm insane again. I'm insane about how to get home from here. After sitting in the retreat and thinking how spiritual I am, I forget. I need a sticky on my dashboard. You're the wrong power. I need one in my mirror. You're the wrong power. I need one on my stick shift. You're the wrong power. Oh yeah, okay. I need them everywhere in my life in the beginning because I don't have this as a way of life, and I have to. So I have to have reminders to remind me that I'm the wrong power. And that I've made a decision. And the decision is only right now, You're not going to make it this. My big fear was I would make a decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of God, and I was going to be immediately packed up on a ship going to Africa to feed people in Ethiopia with the, living in tents without bathrooms and things. That's what my mind told me God's will was for me. It was going to be something terrible and miserable and boring and being of service, which I don't even like people. Why would I want to serve them? But that's never happened to me. It's always better than anything I can imagine when I put myself in God's hands. When I look back, I see, wow, how did that just worked out. That just worked out. I found that's where I met my wife. I went to a surprise party for a friend because something said it's the right thing to do. I didn't really want to go, I was in self. I'm just going to stay home. I don't need to go to this party. I don't know anybody. They're going to be drinking. I'm not going. And something said, yes, you are. You're going to go. Be of service and make this man feel like you're his friend. Go. Show up. And I showed up and I met my wife there. I did not want to be there. There's no way I would have met her any other way. It's not possible. But I went, I did something. And every time I do that something, the right door is opened. And my life seems so closed. It seems like there's no way this is going to work out. Anything's going to work out. It always tells me this is the end. This is it. You're done. There's no more money. There's no more good relationships. There's no more anything for you. You're a loser. You really are. Even with all these years of sobriety, it'll tell me today it's over. You're done. But it's not true. I think I'm done. Yes. Step 3. We're going to do questions. Oh, yeah, dependence. In step 3, to the care of God as I understood Him. No one knows the mind of God. How do I understand God? Yeah. You don't understand God. You do not understand God. If you understand God, you should go running to a mental hospital. The minute I think I know what God's will is for me is the minute I'm about to get hit in the head with a 2x4 and my life destroyed. That's okay. My sponsor wrote this prayer. I'm going to read this prayer to you. It says, God, I have no idea where I am going. I cannot see the road ahead, nor do I know for certain where it leads. I do not even know if I can continue the journey. I do not really understand myself, and the fact that I think I am following your will for me does not mean that I am actually doing so. I do believe this. I believe that my desire to please you does please you. I hope that that desire is the basis for everything I do. I pray that I shall continue to travel the path. I know that if I do so, you will lead me along the right road, although I may know nothing about it at the time. I will trust you always, for although I may seem to be lost and in the valley of the shadow of death, I will not be afraid, because I know that you will never leave me, you will never abandon me to face life all alone. Isn't that beautiful? So, I do not understand God. I do not know what God's will is for me, except for in this moment right now, I know exactly what God's will is for me. It's to be standing right here where I'm standing, doing exactly what I'm doing. Only in this moment, in this exact moment, do I know what God's will is for me. It's to be right here, right now, and to be open to His guidance right now. That's all I need to know. And in the next moment, I'll be intuitively guided what the next thing is to do, which is probably the next question. If every person has an idea of God inside us, should I ask God to be with me, or should I ask God to be with Him? Or should I ask God to help me be with Him? Both. I ask God to help me be with you and to be with Him. God, please be with me and help me to be with you. I believe, heal thou my unbelief. Is this another one?
Yeah, just one second.
What is my will and what is my life? Oh, good. And how do I turn that over to God? My will and my life. My will is what I do, and my life is what goes on inside of me. You know, I used to think that I was turning my living over to God. My living is everything outside. My wife, my house, my job. That's my outsides. My outsides take care of themselves when my insides are right. My life is what goes on inside of me, the thoughts that I have. And the thoughts determine the actions that I take. My will, what I'm going to do. If my thought life is on the power, how can I be of service, God? What can I do? How can I add to this experience? Then my living becomes an extension of those thoughts, of those prayers. So my thoughts and my actions, I turn over to the will of God. What I do and what I think. How do I turn that over to God? Well, yeah, that's a great question. How do you turn it over? You can't do it. I can't turn my will and my life over to the care of God. I lack the power to do that. If I could, I would. There's something about these steps, like there's a part that I play. But the power plays a part also, and I can't play that part. I become willing to turn my will and my life over to the care of God, but I don't turn my will and my life over. That happens by the power, through the willingness. And the willingness starts in 1. I can't make a decision in 3 without 1 and 2. And it doesn't have to be a long thing. It's just, oh yeah, I have alcoholism. I'm upset right now. So things aren't going my way. Maybe I'm not the right power for this situation. Maybe I could come to believe that a power greater than myself could restore me to sanity right now. God, this is what's happening. I don't like this traffic. Could you help me to accept this or to be okay? Or show me what you want me to do now? And then I make a decision to turn my will and my life over to my traffic. I just make the decision. I don't actually do it. It gets done by the way of life. I can't will a surrender. I can't tell myself to give this up. I can only become willing to give it up. Seems that if I've sincerely taken step 3, my life and my will are no longer of my business. Are they? I always want it back. Yeah. Self doesn't go away. The disease doesn't go away. Be nice if it did. The decision is a right now decision always. You can have your will back anytime. Anytime you think God's doing a bad job. You know, God gave me free will. That's will free of God. Not free of charge. That's what it's free of. It's free of God. I can go out there and do whatever I want. I can get in my car, or I can get in Bobby's car if I can find the keys. And I can take it out in the desert, and I can drive through all the cactus, and I can run a bunch of you guys over, and I can do whatever I want. I have free will. God's not going to stop me. He might intuitively guide you to go indoors so you don't get hit. But He's not going to stop me from trying. If that's what I'm determined to do. It's will free of God. And that's the life that I lived. I lived a life of my free will. I did whatever I wanted to, whenever I wanted to, and you couldn't tell me otherwise, and that's the way I lived. And I destroyed my life by exercising my free will. But I still demand the right to do it. Is that insanity? I used my free will, destroyed my life, wound up in AA, and I'm still saying, no, I'm not turning my will and my life over to the care of anything else. It goes too well when I run it. My life is no longer my business. It's none of my business. It's God's business. I have a new employer. Being all-powerful, He provides what I need right now. I'm going to read that right now in the now. When I sincerely take such a position, all sorts of remarkable things follow. Right now, when I take that position, God's the director and I'm the actor. He's the agent and He's the principal and I'm the agent. He's the Father and I'm the Son. I have a new employer. Being all-powerful, He provides what I need if I keep close to Him and perform His work well right now. Established on such a footing, I become less and less interested in myself, my little plans and designs right now. More and more, I become interested in seeing what I could contribute to life right now. As I feel new power flow in right now, as I enjoy peace of mind right now in this moment, as I discover I can face life successfully right now, I become conscious of His presence right now. And I begin to lose my fear of today, tomorrow, or the hereafter. Right now, in this moment, I'm reborn. Right now, in this moment. See, I read this. I never read it like that before. I was always going to get these things one day when I lived the life. One day. And these things were going to happen to me one day. One day. I was going to lose my fear of today, tomorrow, or the hereafter. One day. Because I did something. But I never do the thing that needs to be done because I don't know it's for right now. This is the only moment. This is the only moment I could perform His work well, whatever His work is. Did I read this one?
Yeah, no.
I don't think in step 3. To the care of God as we understood Him. Randy, I know God knows the mind of God. Oh, I did that. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Last one. We'll save the others till tomorrow.
The book says, bring God's will into all of our activities is the proper use of our will. Does this mean that I can do whatever, to do what I want if I bring the vision of God's will into it? It actually does mean that. It does mean that. You can do whatever you want, and you can try to bring the vision of God's will into that while you're doing whatever you want, and you can live a miserable life. Because you can't do that if you're living by spiritual principles. Because if you start in one with admitting complete defeat, and you're no longer the power for your life, how can you be the power for your life? It doesn't make any sense at all. It's not possible. I'm either the power or I'm not the power. I stand at the turning point right now in this moment. I ask His protection and care with complete abandon of self, or I ask my protection and care with complete abandon of God. Thank you.
You want to take a break?
Okay.
Bye.